We're on YouTube.
Thanks.
We're good to start the
It's
meeting.
just streaming, it's just filming
Okay.
right now.
Okay, just let us know though. We'll get the meeting started as soon as the spin.
All right, everybody. I'm sorry that I'm 10 minutes late or 7 minutes late getting this thing started. I just I had a momentary confusion about where the proper link was. It wasn't where I was used to finding it, but that was my fault, nobody else's. So I'm going to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are privileged to meet on the traditional territory of the Squamish, Lillooet, and St'át'imc nations. And with that, we need a motion to approve the agenda of the Committee of the Whole meeting.
This is Rebecca, that the agenda of this meeting be approved.
Thank you.
And I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Any discussion on the agenda?
No.
All in favor? I'm going to ask if there's anybody opposed, because that's so much easier. Okay, then we're going to declare that carried, and then we've got 2 sets of minutes to go through if you guys can help out with that.
Rebecca again, that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on December 9, 2020 be adopted.
Thank you. Seconder for that one.
Ian?
Thanks, Ian. Any discussion on those minutes? Any opposed to adopting those minutes?
No.
All right, that's carried. And one more set of minutes from the Finance Committee meeting.
Okay, Rebecca again, that the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting held on December 9, 2020 be adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. And seconder again for that. Yep, Dave, thank you very much. Saw your hand there. And any discussion on that?
Nope.
Okay, any opposed? Then that's carried. Are there any trustee items for the Committee of the Whole? And no presentations. That takes us down to item 5, information items, trustee calendar, upcoming events. Mo, did you have any comments to make about those?
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Just to kind of quickly summarize, there's the BCPC AGM is happening on January 28, 2021, and Cynthia is going to be attending that. Cynthia, that's correct, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. The DRM and BRE school learning plans are going to happen on the February 17th. The partner group meeting is going to happen on February 17th also in the evening. And it will obviously be a town hall, virtual information, and we'll send the board the appropriate information before the meeting, but we're still right now planning on what that would look like, but it will be on Zoom, and there's going to be a link that's going to be sent to all of our partner groups, including the board. Okay, and so far for the partner group meeting, is there any conflicts right now? Rick and Celeste have confirmed. Preferences, the entire board is there, but is there any conflicts? No, everyone's good to attend?
Okay, we're going to assume that then we'll all attend. That's great.
Okay. When it comes to a session that's coming up on March 1st, 2021, it's the Roberts Rules Demystified. So the cost is $439 per person. Please let me know if there's any trustees who want to attend this. Just let Archie know, and she'll register you.
Let's set a deadline for notifying Archie on that particular item. Today's Wednesday. Could we say by before the end of the day, business day on Friday?
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay.
And then just the last thing coming up also is there's an NSBA, so the National School Board Association conference from April 8th to 10th. And it's per person, it's $675. And for the entire district, it will be $3,600. And it's essentially, it's their annual conference. So it'll have like educational leaders and keynote speakers, etc. So if there's any interest in that, just let us know.
Any questions for Mo or comments on any of those? Okay. Thank you, Mo.
Registering.
Moving down already to item 6, discussion items, the Canadian Charter of Learners' Rights. I'm going to just give you a very quick backgrounder on this one, and then I'm going to let Lisa make a couple of comments because she and I have corresponded a little bit about this, and she has a couple of ideas about how we might deal with it. But so I got a very nice letter from a student, Farad, his name is, I don't have his last name in front of me right now. And it was explaining the Canadian Charter of Learners' Rights, which you have attached to your agenda. And it was drawing our attention to it and asking for our support for this charter by perhaps having the school district adopt it into policy, I think is what they were asking for. And Lisa and I corresponded, as I said, a little bit about it. Lisa had a couple of ideas about what next steps might be. I did respond to him and told him that, at first glance, it looked like a great document and something that certainly aligned with our views on students and their place in our schools and our learning culture. So, Lisa, do you want to make some additional comments?
Yeah, so I have quickly reviewed it for you for, just to make sure that it's reasonably, what's the word I'm looking for? That it's upholding the kinds of standards and it fits into your strategic plan and that which would be expected of the Ministry of Education and the laws in BC, just to make sure it's not some kind of spam or something like that. I think that some of the points that really stand out for me, there's fundamental rights 1, 2, and 3, and under number 1, it is acknowledging that the core purpose of education is, and then it goes on to define that. I would say that it fits well into the Ministry of Education's policy for student success and your mission as a board. Then number 2 says, therefore, the education system can be expected to provide students with, this is the piece I really liked. So A, a safe and comfortable environment which fosters their capacity to learn. B, the ability and freedom to pursue their passions. C, the opportunity to be engaged at an appropriate level of challenge, which we would call personalization. And D, the necessary skills to be a contributing member of society, and that would be your core skills and your competencies. Then it goes on to talk about number 3, students are encouraged to uphold their responsibility in determining that education. So my point is, I think it's a beautiful alignment. I think it gives students a pretty strong voice to say, I'm not being challenged enough in my classroom and I would like to have more challenge provided, or I'm finding the work too challenging and I'd like you to adapt this for me. So my 2 cents for you as a board, and of course you can take it or leave it, but is that I think a suitable place to put this, rather than the board come up over top of our students and make a determination on their behalf, to give it to the district student council who has been elected to be the voice of the students in our district, to consider whether they believe this is a good alignment and represents their voice. And should they then come to the board meeting and say, we would, as your local student voice, encourage you to adopt this, then I think that's the advice I would recommend the board take, so that your students here don't feel that you were listening to other students' voices over there. So that would be my recommendation, that the board formally writes a letter, hands it off to district student council. Thank you for considering the following request that was made to us as a board. We look forward to your advisement about this matter.
Good.
Any questions for Lisa on that?
Sounds good.
But my question, Lisa, is do you think we need a motion to do that, or is it sufficient for us to just allow you to take that next step?
Normally, we wouldn't need a motion for to follow up on correspondence, Rick, so I don't feel that, but I do think Cynthia has a question.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. Just if I could get other people's opinions, because maybe I didn't read this in the same context of other people's reading, but maybe I thought I would just bring it up. In the section where they talk about fair standards, it's number 4, where it says grading of assignments should be consistent between teachers, departments, schools, school boards, and religions within a province. And it goes on to say a few other things. I'm wondering if that's sort of the highlighted statement that I thought was most concerning to me. I'm wondering, does that have any chance that it could cause any kind of conflicts or difficulties if, say, the kids who are taking biology 11 way up north are doing a completely different curriculum than kids who are doing biology in Vancouver proper city, in the way that teachers are going to be asked to grade? Or does this document not have enough power to sort of dictate that sort of thing? Just that part of the fair standards part kind of made me feel like we were moving a bit towards standardized testing and evaluation. I don't know if anyone else got that feeling. Maybe I read it differently than others, but I thought I would just bring that up.
Yeah, so you're not wrong to bring it up or notice it, Cynthia, and thank you for that. I think that so first of all, our province has one curriculum, and teachers cannot change that curriculum from biology 12 class to biology 12 class. That curriculum remains the same for all biology 12, for example. There are some board authority authorized courses teachers teach, which you authorize, and that would be unique to that school district and that teacher. And there is certainly a lot of teacher autonomy in how something is taught and how it is assessed. But generally speaking, it is expected that there not be that the standards for that assessment would be reasonably common between teachers, so that teachers don't have the authority to say, we're going to give everybody an A just because we like you. So there is no allowance for teachers to do that. And I think that's what the students are pointing to here is, so for example, you shouldn't be allowed to assess differently your teacher's pets, the people that you like the best.
Mhm.
So, but one to your point, and I really like your point, I would, if handing this off to student council, we would get Chris to talk with them and with Tammy to talk about what is the process the student council should go through in order to bring this back to you. And that would be part of their inquiry to figure out, well, who would we need to consult with before we do that? But my point is, rather than the adults doing all of that work, having the students learn through this process. So I would think that they would go to the teachers union and say, is there anything in here that is a rub for you? And can you explain to us why?
Mhm.
And that would be
Mhm.
all part of their learning process. And if they determine that, let's just say, we like the whole thing except for number 4, so we're advising that you send back a message to the group saying, we're unable to adopt it as a result of this one article you have. Please let us know if you amend that article.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I certainly read that passage that you pointed out, Cynthia, as just seeking fairness between students rather than a kind of troublesome, detailed consistency. I just saw them as wanting to be treated fairly and equitably.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I can see how that interpreting would come across as well. I just thought I would just to make it all settle and feel good. I just wanted to bring up just that interpretation. So that's fine. Yeah, it's okay. It's all good.
Good.
And to your point, oh, sorry, may I, Rick? Sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
One of the things that we hear from students a lot across the province, particularly after they've gone to post-secondary, is that they feel strongly that the private schools are inflating marks to get their students to the big programs. And so this is a concern that's been brought to our attention, that more students from private schools are getting in because of that inflation. And it's, B says students in private schools and public. And I think, that might not be.
Okay, anything else on that? Yeah, go ahead, Celeste.
Thank you. So is my understanding that the proposal would be to adopt this into some kind of policy? Is that what you're suggesting?
Rick, do you want to speak to the specific request that was made of you?
What I will do is make sure that I forward the actual letter to you guys. We probably should have had it in the package today. I think the verb was endorse from the students. And so in my mind, that's a little bit open to interpretation, but really the only way we can officially endorse something that I could think of, other than just to say, yes, we endorse it, is, to put it into policy. It could be a support statement, I suppose.
I feel like a lot of what's in that document is already in the policies that we have. And I guess my only concern, I think it's wonderful. And I think Lisa's idea about making it a learning exercise for students is really great. My only concern, I guess, is if we said, yes, we believe in this document, and then the document changes over time, and then it becomes something that we don't necessarily agree with. So what that might look like, or what exactly is being proposed, I am cautiously for it. But yeah.
And I think that one problem that you're describing, where if the document changes, then we have a problem, can just be solved by if we were to put it in policy or a letter, just by making reference to the specific version of the policy, and that if there are further iterations of it, we would look at it. We'd be pleased to look at it again.
Yeah, and I will tell you that I hope, and again, I think that what we want them to do is engage in a real process of assessing this. But I personally would hope that they would notice that it doesn't say anything about Indigenous students and the rights of Indigenous people under the United Nations. And I would hope that our kids would say, we would advise you not to endorse anything that does not specifically and explicitly point out First Nation culture, language, and the UNDRIP rights. So, but my thing is, often as adults, we take on all the learning. These are really very talented thinkers. I really think they're going to be able to unpack this well. Our students, but I mean.
And when I read it over, I thought, rather than being worried that it came on too strong, I was surprised at how mild it was, actually. I thought there were statements that could have been made about students' rights concerning kind of the quality of instruction. And I thought they could have come on even stronger about that. And I was kind of surprised they didn't. And I thought I read between the lines, perhaps, that, and I'm sure they did this, that they passed it in front of probably education professionals, and it may have gotten slightly toned down as a result. But that's just me trying to read between the lines. I don't know that happened. Anything else on that topic?
No.
Okay, thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing what the students have to say about it and do with it. And Lisa, the last item on the agenda of this meeting is yours, the learning plans scheduling.
Oh, is that for next school year?
Yeah, it's just for next school year.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I guess what I would say is, how did it go this year for you? allowing the principals to sign up for the months they felt worked best for their team. And if you didn't have concerns about it, then I would say, may I proceed with asking them for next year? If you do have concerns, then let's talk about that if you would prefer me schedule them at a specific time.
So let's just ask, let's assume that that anybody who has concerns is going to speak up. If you just want to support the idea, then there's probably no need to speak up, but we do need to hear any concerns that are out there. So raise a hand or just speak up.
I'll just say spacing them out is very, very helpful. This year is much better than last year.
Okay, I think that's your feedback.
Yep, that's excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. And that brings this meeting to a close. We've completed the business. And so if there are no objections, I'm to declare this meeting adjourned. And we're right on time for getting into the in-camera meeting. So I'm just going to take a moment and bring up my next agenda.
And I'm going to get Dave down here. Yeah,
Okay,
thanks.
see you everyone, see you in camera.
Yep.
Yeah, looks like we have to log in again,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. We have to log in again. So we'll see you guys in just a sec.
Okay.
Is that the same for us too? We need to exit?
You guys, we could just, yeah, you guys, everyone has to exit, but in reality, for in camera, I could just start it from Zoom if you guys want, or you guys could come on. It's up to you guys, but it's not a public meeting, so it's depending on how you guys want it.
I'm gonna go grab my plug.
I'll borrow it later. Still haven't found mine. Strange.
I'm gonna grab my mask first. My plug.
Good, make me feel less guilty.
Your face plug.